We have brother Naeem Baig from USA. He's a graduate from veterinary sciences. He lives in US with his wife, son, and 3 daughters. He is sworn in as a president of ICNA USA in New York. Mr. Baig was previously served as the Secretary General of ICNA for 3 terms and Majlis Shura from 2010 to 2012. He is currently the ICNA Vice President for Public Affairs and the Executive Director of ICNA Council for Social Justice. He is also the Chairman of National Coalition to Protect Civil Freedoms and the American Muslims Task Force, that is an umbrella body of 10 national American Muslim organizations. Brother Naeem Baig.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Jazakallahu khair, and I'm very happy to be here at this year's ICNA Canada Carry the Light Convention. So yesterday at the airport, when they asked me, why are you here? So I said, I'm here for Carry the Light Convention. So the gentleman, the officer said, welcome and enjoy the convention, and alhamdulillah, enjoying the convention very much. I was happy while sitting here. I was listening to Bob Delaney and his comments, and then another brother who, Azad? Yeah, who also spoke on the importance of our community, our engagement, and standing up for our rights and for the right principles. When we talk about the social justice aspect of Islam's guidance and guidance from the Seerah of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, I think the better topic would be to really focus on Islam. No doubt, in the Quran you'll find many verses from the Quran about the issue of justice, issues of equality, human rights. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addressing the issue of creation of nations and tribes only for the purpose of recognition, not because one color is better than the other. Or our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in his last sermon, which many of us have heard many times in the Jummah khutbahs and read it probably many times as well. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in his last khutbah emphasizing this aspect again and again, that no Arab is better than a non-Arab, or a non-Arab is better than an Arab, or a white is better than a black, or a black is better than a white. Again, touching upon the issues that can create divisions within a society and which may also lead into oppression by one of the other. And this is, my brothers and sisters, is where we must say that Muslims for social justice, where Muslims stand on this issue of equality and justice in the society. I have no doubt about my faith and the guidance that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us in the Quran, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu kunu qawwamina bil qist, shuhada'a lillah, walau ala anfusikum, awil walidaini wal aqrabin, iyyakun ghaniyan aw faqiran, فالله أولى بهما فلا تتبعوا الهوى أن تعدلوا وإن تلووا أو تعرضوا فإن الله كان بما تعملون خبيرا. O you who believe, be maintainers of justice, bearers of witness of Allah's sake, though it may be against your own self, your parents, or your near relatives. If he be rich or poor, Allah is near to them both in compassion. Therefore, do not follow your vain desires, lest you deviate. And if you swerve or turn aside, then surely Allah is aware of what you do. My dear brothers and sisters, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala very clearly in this verse is reminding us that when it comes to issues of justice and equality and standing up as witnesses, then we must not be afraid of anybody or any power or our own interests. It does not matter if it is about me or about you. If it is our neighbor, John or Smith or Linda. If it is a purpose, if he or she is someone from a different ethnic background. But if any person in our society is facing any kind of injustice or discrimination, as a Muslim, it is my responsibility to stand up for their rights. Last year, I had shared this, and I'm sharing this again, that when in ICNA USA, we wanted to establish Council for Social Justice, and I was seeking help from my interfaith friends and colleagues that, if you have any branches in DC for social justice, send me some contacts. I would like to engage with them and maybe build up some coalitions and partnerships. So one of a very good friend, he sends me a contact information of someone that, okay, this is the person from our church that you can talk to. So I called this person and I asked him, I'm here now and we wanted to start Council for Social Justice. So he said, but I deal in the Middle East office of our church. I'm not for social justice work here. So I was a little surprised. And then I sent an email to my friend that, why did you give me a contact information of someone who deals with Middle Eastern issues? And he sent me a one-sentence reply. Isn't it this that you always deal with? My brothers and sisters, this is the perception, right? Perception that Muslim community in America or Muslim community here in Canada is only worried about issues when it comes to Islam and Muslims. When it comes to civil rights issues of Muslims, we will stand up. When it comes to what is happening, wars and killing fields in Iraq or Afghanistan, it is only about Muslims, so we stand up. But what about when the issue is racial discrimination in our society? When the issue is about black lives being mattered? When the issue is about police brutality? When the issue is about FBI going after you just because of our faith? When the issue is about people who are engaged in struggle for equality and justice, and we are not there. When the issue is about people who are struggling to survive on minimum wage. When I was looking up what is the minimum wage in Canada, and I was, about $10.30. And I asked this question, my brothers and sisters, that how many of you know if people who are surviving on minimum wage and how can they barely survive? Or raising families just because the mother or a father is earning minimum wage. Can people raise their families on these minimum wage that they get from these mega billionaire corporations? And we realized that the best strategy, my brothers and sisters, is working with other faith organizations. Working together when it comes to issues like that in our society. It is about not just people are poor, but it is about the issue of income inequality that is in our society. So when we ask this question, what is social justice? So social justice is about human rights. Social justice is about creating opportunities for each and every Canadian so that they can strive and struggle and work hard for themselves and their families. That they can also dream of owning their house. That they can also dream of sending their children to college education or university, getting their university education. Opportunities. We understand it is about creating opportunities for all people, all citizens of the society. University education should not be only a right of those who can afford or those who cannot just take thousands and thousands of loans. This is not about that. And I still remember when I was in my master's program and I asked one of my teachers, Dr. Becky, why you're not married? I didn't know. This is not an appropriate question to ask. I was new in America, but I asked this question, Dr. Becky, why aren't you married? And she said, I cannot afford children. And I was surprised, what do you mean by that, you cannot afford children? And she said, because I'm still paying my loans back from the college. And I couldn't comprehend that a society where education can only be taken by taking, tens and thousands of loans, and you spend the rest of your life paying back these banks and paying back these loans, interest upon interest. So the social justice is about creating equal opportunities for all citizens. Social justice is about standing up for those who are marginalized in our society. Bob mentioned about Aboriginals. In America, we have Native Americans. And after engaging in the social justice issues, I realized that, unfortunately, one of the highest rates of suicide, I'm not sure about Aboriginals, but one of the highest rates of suicides that are happening in America are in Native Americans. Higher rate of alcoholism that is among Native Americans. People who are being thrown into reservations, that this is your place and you live whatever you want to do, and if you want to build casinos, and still again, the poverty, the cycle of poverty, you remain in that. So my brothers and sisters, when we talk about our engagement, when we talk about social justice, this is what we must be getting into. And I want to make a distinction here between social service and social justice. Because many times when we think about social justice, we tend to think, okay, if there are poor people, let us go and start feeding programs. Let us start food pantry or food bank. But this is not social justice. This is social service. ICNA relief outside here. We also have ICNA relief in US. We do feeding programs. We have food pantries. We run clinics, free clinics. We do disaster relief and all of those things. This is all service that we are providing, and many churches, many other faith groups are engaged in offering these kind of services as well. But here I present to you something which I read some time ago. That one of the activists of social justice said that when I feed a hungry, I'm called a saint. When I feed a hungry, I'm called a saint. But when I ask the question, why is he or she hungry? Then I'm called a communist. It is not about that, right? But that is the difference between social service and social justice. Social justice is about making politicians responsible for the poverty in the society. Social justice is about challenging those laws that create this poverty. Social justice is asking the question, why are we throwing the food in the ocean when there are hungry people in our society? So it is an issue of income distribution. It is an issue of income inequality. It is an issue of some people becoming richer and richer and the poorer of the society becoming poorer and poorer. I know that as immigrants, sometimes we think that, we have come from thousands and thousands of miles away and learned the language and raising our families, and we are struggling and we are surviving. So what is wrong with maybe some other people in our society that they are still poor? But we must understand that it doesn't happen overnight. That society has been creating these groups, society has been creating these classes where people who are poor are being kept poor. And we have to challenge these laws, and we have to raise these questions that if they are Aboriginals, what services, what programs are being offered to them? If they are Native Americans, or if they are African Americans, and if there are ghettos in our society, if there is a higher percentage of people who are out of job, of a certain ethnic background, what is wrong in that? Where is the problem? So social justice is about asking the question, why is there racial discrimination? Why are there poor in our society? What is wrong in our system? Why is a CEO's salary increasing and increasing every day, every year, but an hourly wage earner is still trying to struggle at $10.30? So I was looking up that what is $10.30 worth, real worth? Because you can say that, government raised the minimum wage now. So when there is an index, it is called purchasing power parities, which looks at the minimum wage throughout the world, different countries, and what is the purchasing power of that minimum wage. So it is based upon US standards, dollar standard, right? So a person, and this is from last year, so in Canada, probably last year, the minimum wage was around $9.22. But the purchasing power parities index tells us that actually it is not $9.22, it is $7.82. Your minimum wage may have increased, but the purchasing power has not increased because the products are becoming expensive. Gas prices are going up. Rent is going up. Education cost is going up. So in fact, you're not earning $9.22. What you're earning is $7.82. And here is a little comparison, just for interest. In Bangladesh, the minimum wage is 10 cents, 10 cents an hour. But the purchasing power parities index is 25 cents. So even though they're earning less, but they have a little more purchasing power. In Pakistan, the minimum wage per hour is about 60 cents, but the purchasing power is at $2.04. So in poor societies, you see the difference. In the poor communities and societies, they have a little edge, they have a little better purchasing power. But in all the developing countries that I looked at, US and Europe and wherever they're saying that, no, we have better minimum wages, we have better standards of living, but actually in reality, even though you may be getting $10 an hour, but in fact, you are getting about $8 an hour. Purchasing power is less. This is a discrimination, my brothers and sisters. In the last 15 to 20 years, the income gap between CEOs of the corporations and the hourly wage workers has increased tremendously, the gap. So in the US, I don't have Canadian figures. This is your assignment to look into. In US, the difference, the ratio is 1:456. The difference in the salaries of CEOs and the hourly wage workers. This is what I'm referring to, income inequality, where CEOs of the corporations who are getting money from the government as well, their salaries, their bonuses are increasing tremendously, but the minimum wage people who are working, their salaries and their wages are not increasing. Racial and ethnic discrimination. Again, I talked about that how as Muslims we must stand for the rights of those who may come from different ethnicities and different backgrounds. But if they are being oppressed, if they are not being given their rights, if they do not have the proper education, then we as Muslims, it is our responsibility to stand up with them and help them in achieving their goals and their rights as well. We can talk about gender inequality, where it's all over the world. Women working a certain job where you find male people working as well, their salaries are lower. In many cases, 40% lower than the salaries that same person, male of a similar qualification gets. So this is an issue that I'm sure many of our sisters can also relate to. The issue of justice and peace in the society, and not just here, but also globally. How have we destroyed societies by waging wars that were not needed? By coming up with fake, made-up reasons to invade countries. And now we complain about where are these extremists coming from. No one asks this question or even wants to address the question that who asked to invade those countries, and why don't you take the responsibility of these extremists that you have created out of that? My brothers and sisters, these are difficult questions to ask, but we must ask these questions. We must make our politicians responsible. That when we talk about creating a peace and peaceful and just society, what is our contribution? And how have we failed here, our people here as well, and also people of the global world? Why have we failed them? And the last thing that I wanted to mention when we talk about issues of social justice is that in developing world, we are seeing it over and over, and also here in your Canada as well. Corporations managing democracies. Corporations running democracies. Just across the border, I'm sure many of you are watching the US elections that are coming up next year, presidential election. And the rows of politicians who are trying to seek that position as President of the United States. And how so miserably they fail when it comes to standing up for the right causes and going after mega corporations so that they can get money to run these campaigns. Now these campaigns are going into billions and billions of dollars, so that a poor man cannot even dream of running into an election anymore. If you do not have resources, or if you do not have friends who are going to come and help and support you with this money, forget about running any election. So someone asked me earlier that what do you think about Donald Trump? And I said, I wish he becomes the President of the United States. And he said, what, are you serious? And I told him, I know he doesn't have a chance. Because in our country, there are two parties. And you have to please them both. and you have to please the people who are running these parties. And that's what the elections are all about. Trump is telling them in their faces on the stage during a debate when he was asked a question that you donated to Hillary Clinton's campaign when she was running for Senate. And he said on the stage that yes, I have donated, and I have donated it to many of these people who are standing with me on this stage. So then he was asked a follow-up question. So when you donate, why did you donate? And he said, because I donate to these politicians, and when I need them, they work for me. What did he mean by that? That when he wanted their support for his building hotels and casinos, and if there is any problem in getting the permits, or if there are any problems in acquiring those lands or whatever, these politicians will go and help him out. So, billionaires, mega corporations running the democracies now, managing democracies, managing elections. And just last month, many of these rich billionaires came together in US, and they called these Republican candidates to their gathering, to their meeting, to come and give us your talk and tell us what you're going to do for us. That was it all about. And then we will give you our money. So I was reading that in the Canada, there's an organization. I don't know if it is really organized, but there is this body where over 100 or 130 CEOs, retired CEOs, are member of this body. And their worth is over $1 trillion. And these are the people who are managing these elections as well. So my brothers and sisters, in conclusion, I have a few things for you. What can we do and what we must do? The first thing and very important thing is raising awareness in our community and educating our community, and especially our youth, that we as Canadian Muslims, it is our responsibility to stand up with others, with other faith organizations, with other activists when it comes to issues of racial discrimination, issues of social justice. Ask your khatibs, ask your scholars to give some educational programs and seminars, khutbahs on this topic as well. Build coalitions and partnerships. There are many interfaith organizations that you will find, good human beings who feel the pain of this issues when it comes to issues of social justice, and they're struggling and surviving and fighting for their rights. Join them. Build coalitions and partnerships. The third thing is time commitment. In many of these struggles, it is not really about money much, but it is about standing up. It is about going there and standing with laborers who are fighting for their rights. It is about giving them time, giving them support, and standing with them shoulder to shoulder when they are seeking their rights. Islam talks about several aspects: labor rights, human rights, issues of equality and justice. I encourage our young brothers and sisters to write papers and publish those papers. Provide leadership. Go and sit with them. Go and sit with people who are struggling and fighting for their rights. Offer them your support. Offer them your prayers, and be with them. Invest in the future. And by investing in the future, I mean that as organizations and in our masajid and our communities, we must assign budgets, send our youth to seek education in social sciences. Let them study what are we talking about. Let them learn and get education and come up with solutions so that we can, when we talk about income inequality, what are the solutions that we can have for income equality in the society? Another area that I believe Muslims, our sisters, you can be a very strong force, my sisters, when it comes to being there, standing up, joining those forces who are standing up for social justice. In the US, we have seen many of our sisters are, mashallah, giving time, and alhamdulillah, we are seeing amazing results by participation of our sisters. So I encourage my sisters to seriously look into it and ask your organizations, ask your masajid that how can you engage in these programs. And the last thing that I would like to say, my brothers and sisters, is that let us turn our masajid into places of hope for all Canadians. Masjid is a place of worship, right? We come, we offer our salah, we pray. But at the same time, masjid must also be a place where any Canadian in need, any need, can come to the masjid and find that there will be someone who is going to be there for them, to support for them. And this is where I say that let us turn our masajid into places of hope for all people, from all backgrounds, from all religions. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.